With anything that I get involved with, I hope that it would be, it has to have something that's special about it, that I could say at least that I'm involved with it. I want to be involved with it.
What is the key, speaking of restaurants, what is the key to success in the restaurant business from your standpoint?
You have to have good food, period.
Okay.
If you don't have good food, then...
And if you really think about it, it's sort of common sense that you think, wow, of course somebody uses a checkbook in the way they would use a lock on the door. It's a tool to trap somebody in a relationship. It makes complete sense, but I'd never thought about it in those terms. I'd never called it financial abuse. And I think that's really important that people even just learn that language, because women might be in a situation and see this interview and now go, oh, this isn't an accident that somebody is destroying my credit. This isn't an accident that he's showing up at my job and making it difficult for me to keep my job because of the behavior that's coming into my workplace. This is actually part of the tool of keeping me trapped.
Lee, I've never had one person come up and say anything mean, cruel, or ugly to me. You know, I think action speaks so much louder than words. And people that know me, they've seen how I've lived my life. They know who I am and what I am, as I do myself.
When you got your DUI, what was going through your mind when you're in that car, in the back seat of the car?
You know what? I was actually front seat, you know, front row center. It was a really embarrassing moment for me, you know, especially because you know, I had so many great sponsors. We'll still have so many great sponsors. I actually had Bud Light at the time, ironically. Yeah. That didn't last long. It was a really embarrassing experience for me. You know, alcohol makes people do silly things, and until that point, I had done everything perfectly in my career. Really doing my best to be a great role model and examples for young kids, and that was a major setback.
Do you see this company going public at some point?
I do, yeah. I mean, I think that's not out of the question in a couple of years. We'll see. We could possibly get acquired by somebody. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that would mean.
Miss America, for example, was an Indian American woman, and she was hit with a firestorm of really negative stuff from people.
I got that too.
Did you get that? What
after
happened?
the NFL.
Okay.
Who's this Arab terrorist?
Did you read that somewhere? Was that?
No, it was the NFL Network got a lot of like tweets and stuff saying that, and so did I. Hate mail, saying that, you know, you're not American. Why should you be on American football? And I had two problems with that. One, why is every Arab person a terrorist? First of all, and second of all, just because I'm brown, why am I a terrorist?
You said in a recent interview that you're one of the top 5 DJs in the world, and that really upset a lot of people. It set off a firestorm of criticism.
What I said.
What did you mean by that?
They asked me if it was a lucrative business, and I answered and said yes, because I'm one of the top 5 paid, which is true.
Okay.
Per rate, per show. I don't mean like skill-wise. I don't mean like I'm on like, you know, like a Avicii or a Tiesto.
Right.
I meant my rate per show is in the top 5.
Policing in the African American community is getting a bit aggressive. I think that there is something to be done on a national level about looking at how people are policed in their neighborhoods. You're not saying that you know, anyone is, you know, less culpable in a situation like that. I think that, you know, for that Darren Wilson situation, I really want the truth and the facts to come out. It appears to be a little posturing in the sense that you kind of instantly divide lines. The police has a side, and then the victim has a side, and people are not really trying to find out what the truth of the matter is. And I think that's the most important aspect here.
The first video that I did that gave me exposure to all over the world was the Acropolis video, which I think eventually became the second best-selling video of all time, which surprised everyone, including myself. I thought when we were making it, I paid for it because nobody believed in it. They said, what are you doing? You're going to play with some orchestra in some Greek ruins, and you're going to come back and with instrumental music and try to sell it to America? How is it going to work? And everybody went, nope, we're not putting money into this. We're not going to help you. You're going to fail, and you're going to lose everything. and I bet all my money on it.
A lot of people reading that, including some of your competitors. Kyle Petty, one of them. He's one that's made some pretty harsh comments about the perception of your abilities as a driver. He called you a marketing machine. He said you're not a race car driver. Lots of drivers can drive fast, but very few drivers can race, he said. Does that hurt you when you hear those things?
No. I feel bad. Why would it, I feel bad for the times that people say things that create such a stir. Like, why does that need to happen? What drove you to spill that information? But I believe everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and that's how he feels, and that's okay.
Yeah. Is some of it sexism, do you think?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
You've been on the talent side for a long time, but you're also doing executive producing and buying a company. What does the ownership symbolize for you? Because I'm sure you fought to get to this point.
It means, and I say this in the most sincere, loving way, but it means I don't have to be the dancing bear. I've been the dancing bear for many, many years in my career.
What is that?
You know what the dancing bear is. You want me to explain it? Yeah. The dancing bear, it's like almost like a puppeteer. You're sort of doing and fulfilling the wishes of others. And I'm at a stage in my life and my career that it's time for me to not be the dancing bear anymore, but do things on my own terms.
Is this era of this stigma against quarterbacks who are under 6'2", is that over? Do you think you and Russell have really helped to change the perception?
I mean, maybe. I think that as I look at this draft that's coming up, you've got a guy like Johnny Manziel, who's a 6-foot guy. You've got Teddy Bridgewater. He's not, your prototypical, size or height guy. And obviously those guys are pretty highly touted, and I haven't heard a thing mentioned about their height.
What did you think about Sterling, and how would you have responded to that?
I listened to it, and I couldn't escape an older man being betrayed by a woman. Because I saw the biggest compromise that I've seen. He said, if you like them, you want to be friends with them, be friends with them. If you want to sleep with them, go sleep with them. Just don't embarrass me. So you got to understand that you didn't resolve anything or solve anything by just getting Donald Sterling out of the pocket, because he has people that he would be embarrassed by that are in that circle that will continue to have those actual thoughts and feelings towards people. And it's just the way people are raised. You're not going to just erase history.
I got a phone call in the middle of the night near Christmas at a friend's house, and he said, the president's on the phone, and he asked me, he said, a lot of people recommend I visit with you, and would you come to Camp David? And of course I was incredibly complimented, and I said, Mr. President, it'd be incredible, honored to work with you, but I want you to know I'm not a fan. And my friend, yes. Well,
why did you tell him that?
Because I didn't want to think I'm just going to come and blow smoke. I said, so, I'll come, but I want you to know that I don't know that I'm right either. I don't know I'm right, but I want to, if you want my opinion, I'm going to tell you my opinion. And he laughed and he said, listen, I want to hear a different point of view. And so I said, great. But when I became a fan, and the reason is his charisma in his case is passion, intelligence, and caring. When you're with the president, there's nobody else on earth. He is with you. He wants to know what you think and what you feel. I don't mean just like an expert. I mean the person on the street. I think that's his charisma. He cares so much, and yet he's so smart. You put those two together, you have something that's pretty amazing.
It saddens me at times to see the lengths some people in media will go to just to create buzz or a story, because at the end of the day, we all have personal lives, and no one wants to deal with their dirty laundry out in the public eye. But being in entertainment, you kind of know what you sign up for. So
on the other side, you've probably gotten it too, where they say, well, man, you're doing country, you're not
absolutely
black.
It does get to you a little bit, because the music I like, or the football teams I like, or the food I eat has nothing to do with me being black.
Right.
I'm black because I was born this way. I'm proud of it. Thank God, I am who I am. And it's one of those things that's bothered me. When I was the biggest band in the world, and I went on the cover of Ebony or Jet. That was crazy to me.
When you had that hemorrhage, did it make you, after you recovered, did it make you more driven, or did it make you want to slow down?
It made me, thank you. I want to tell you, you're one of the first people that's ever asked me that question. I mean, they'll say, did you find purpose in your life? And here's the thing. Before I had the brain hemorrhage, I already felt like I had purpose in my life. What happens when you have a moment where they're positive that you are going to die and you survive it? You know what happens to me? in your life at that exact moment, what happens is I found more of a drive for life.
But this is something that people are really, really obsessed with, this whole addiction to devices.
And this addiction to devices is as bad as an addiction to heroin.
There was one guy who said that you're not a leader because you wore your baseball cap backwards, when Tony Romo does that all the time. And of course, you're a tattooed individual. What do you think that's about?
To me, it's prejudice. I think it's something that people really do have stereotypes about. If you dress this way, then you act a certain way. If you have tattoos, you act a certain way. If you're in a business suit, you act a certain way. And that's something that I constantly feel like I want to break that barrier.